the abuse of her husband. Her husband was an unsaved man, and he drank, and when he would come home drunk, he was very mean to her and the children both. And last time we ended, it was Christmas time, and the children had a train set that they had set up, but he became very, very mad about that, and he had told one of his children to go get a sharp knife, and they said they couldn't find any knives, whichever child she told, and so he went and he got a knife, and that's where we ended last time, and so we're going to continue with that. You can see he has it in his hand. Tom pushed Edith down on the arm of the chair and held the knife over her. "I'm going to kill you," he snarled. Edith panicked because she did not want to die. Then all of a sudden, she surrendered everything to God, and she became calm and peaceful on the inside. The storm still raged on the outside. Tom was still mad and still had the knife. The Lord gave her the exact words to say. She calmly said, "Tom, if you kill me, who's going to raise our children right?" Tom stepped back, dropped the knife to his side. "I don't know," he murmured. Victory was won, and that was over.
Amen.
Thankful that we have a Lord that constantly abides. Things got so mean that even though no one knew, Edith started praying that God would deliver her family. Tom told Edith, "Well, my unit is shipping overseas, but I don't think I'll have to go. The higher officers are asking for me to stay. They really like my cooking," he chuckled. When he left for work, Edith went to her knees and prayed, "Lord, send him to Germany." Immediately, she felt bad for praying that way. "Lord, I'm sorry. I don't care how. Just deliver us and your will be done." The next time she went to prayer for Tom, the Lord spoke to her as plain as anyone could. He spoke one word: Germany. Edith knew then that she and the children were going back to Kansas, and Tom was going to Germany. A week later, Tom came in. "Pack our things, Edith. We're going home." Edith answered, "Yes, I knew we were. I know where they are shipping you to. You're going to Germany." The soldiers' orders were sealed, so nobody knew where they were being sent, but God had already told Edith. Tom thought it was wonderful that the Lord had told her. He told all the men in the unit. God was right. Tom went to Germany. Edith and the children moved back to Kansas. One stormy night, the older children had gone to a school program, and Edith was at home with her two young children, Judy and Johnny. The wind was howling and the rain was hitting the windows. The floors would creak as the house shifted. Edith was sitting on the couch reading when Judy came up to her and said, "Mama, I hear somebody walking on the porch." Edith looked up to see the fear in Judy's eyes. "No," she responded, "that's just the wind and storm. Go play, you'll be all right." In a little while, Judy came back again and said, "Mama, I know I hear somebody on the porch walking." Fear began to grip Edith. She felt the hair stand up on the back of her neck. Edith picked up Judy and sat her on her lap. "Judy," Edith explained, "we don't have to be afraid. God has given us a guardian angel to watch over us." All at once, as she talked, a presence came into the room where they were, and perfect peace filled the room. The storm still raged, the windows still banged, and the house still made noise. But where they were sitting, all fear was gone, and everything was calm. The guardian angel was real. These pictures hop all around. After 3 years, Tom had completed his assignment in Germany. He was back with Edith and the children in Cherryvale, Kansas. He got a good job at Continental, Kansas, and for 2 years he did not drink. God dealt with him or talked with him. Edith knew that her husband had this opportunity to get saved. In desperation, she watched him make the choice once again to turn God away. He did not seem to realize that he had made a dangerous choice. Every time you refuse to yield to God, you go deeper in sin. Soon he was back to drinking and shooting dope again. On one of these occasions, Tom had been drinking for several days, and as usual, nothing pleased him. He came storming into the house, yelling and screaming. The children tried to stay out of his way, some of them even hiding under the bed. He left to go back to the bar, and Edith and the children went to Tom's mom's house. As the hours went by, Edith knew it was time to go home. It was getting late, and everyone needed to go to bed. She gathered the children to leave. Edith's mother-in-law had worry in her eyes. She stopped her at the door. "Edith," she cautioned, "Tom has a gun. He says he's going to kill you." They filed out into the dark night. "Mom," one of the children asked, "where are we going?" "We don't have anywhere else to go but home," Edith sighed. The children were quiet when they reached the house. "What should we do?" the children asked Edith. "Should we go upstairs and go to bed?" Edith's mind raced. What should she have the children do? It was a big decision that could mean all of their lives. Once again in her life, the Lord gave Edith the words to say. With finality, she said, "Go upstairs and go to bed. You all go to sleep. We are serving a great big God, and He can take care of us." The children all looked at their mom a moment, and then they filed upstairs to their rooms. Sometime later, Edith heard Tom drive up and stop. He came on the porch and shot the gun to scare her. She peeked out through the window and saw him reload the gun. Edith got out of bed and came into the living room. The door burst open, and there stood Tom, wild-eyed. He pointed the gun at Edith and snarled, "How would you like a hole in your head?" Edith looked down the end of the gun pointed at her. The Lord gave her simple words to say. "Tom, would you like to have a glass of milk?" All of a sudden, Tom lowered the gun. In a short time, he had settled down and gone to bed. The next morning, Edith was up early and opened the Bible to Isaiah 51. She sat amazed as she read verses 12 through 16. They were written just for her. "I, even I, am he that comforteth you. Who art thou, that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die, and of the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass? And forgettest the Lord thy Maker, that hath stretched forth the heavens, and laid the foundations of the earth, and hast feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? But I am the Lord thy God, that divideth the sea, whose waves roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of mine hand." Edith could hardly wait until the children got up. She called them around her and showed them what God had done. He had put his words in her mouth.
Amen.
The 6 children saw the choice between right and wrong, and they believed in their mother's God. Still, one by one, they started to take the way of the world. In 1961, their home split up as Tom finally moved out and left the family. Shortly after this, Tom was caught by the police, and for the second time in his life, he was sent to prison. This time, they gave him 25 years. Wow. Edith was left to finish raising her children alone. The oldest 4 were now teenagers, and sometimes they were a handful. Coming home from church one night, the thought came to Edith that she might as well give up. "You've not accomplished anything. Tom is in the penitentiary. You're raising these children alone. And look, most of your children are teenagers, and none of them are saved. None of them are going this way. It's hopeless." When Edith came into the house, Tommy was sitting at the table. He looked up and noticed that something was bothering his mom. "Mom, what's the matter?" Edith looked at her teenage son. "Oh, nothing," she sighed. She walked past him and went into the bedroom. She sat on the vanity stool and began to cry. She might as well give up.